All right, so in 2.4, we're going to talk about solving polynomial equations in factored form. So let's go through this introduction first. For number 1, we have 4 times blank equals 0. Well, what times 4 would equal 0? That would just be 0, right? Anything times 0 is 0. If we look at number 2, if a times 7 equals 0, then a would have to equal what? Well, again, it would have to equal 0, because the only thing times 7 that equals 0 is 0. Now let's look at number 3. If a times b equals 0, then what do we know about a and b? Well, we know that anything times 0 is 0. So we know that either a equals 0 or b equals 0. Or both, right? Both could be 0 because 0 times 0 is still 0. Okay, so if we look at number 4, if we have a product that multiplies together and equals 0, right? We have x minus 3 times x plus 2 equals 0. Then how would we solve for x? Well, if we know that the product equals 0, we could kind of think of x minus 3 as a and x plus 2 as b. And if a times b equals 0, then we know either a has to equal 0 or b equals 0. So we can say a is our x minus 3, so that has to equal 0, or b, which is x plus 2, has to equal 0. And then we can solve for x, right? If we add 3 to both sides, you get x equals 3. And x plus 2, we would subtract 2 from both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you need to do to the other. So we would get x equals 3 or x equals negative 2. So the zero product property is this property that we're talking about. It is if a and b are real numbers and a times b equals 0, then a equals 0 or b equals 0. Or again, you could have both equal 0. Okay, so this is the product or the property that we're going to be using today. And let's just look at one more thing. If you're given x squared plus 7x plus 10, how will you get to the factored form x plus p times x plus q? So how would you get that into factored form? Well, you would need to factor, right? If we factor a polynomial, it will go to our factored form. So let's just do a quick review. We have a equals 1, b is 7, c is 10. A times c, 1 times 10 is going to be 10. We need two things that multiply to 10, and they need to add to 7. So what multiplies to 10? We could do 1 times 10 or 2 times 5. 1 plus 10 is going to be 11, so that one won't work. What's 2 plus 5? Well, that would be 7. So those are going to be our two factors. So when we make our box, first term in the first box, x squared, last term in the last box, 10. And we need to split up 7x into these two boxes. So we're going to split it up by saying 2x and 5x, right? Because 2x plus 5x is the same as 7x. So now if we factor, what's our greatest common factor between x squared and 5x? Well, that would be x. And if that side's x, what's this top side need to be to get x squared? X. If that side's x, what does this side need to be to get 2x? It would need to be 2. If that side's 2, what's this side going to be to get 10? That would be 5. Double check our last box. 5 times x, is that 5x? Yeah. So our answer is x plus 2 times x plus 5. So if you are started with your polynomial in standard form. To get it to factored form, you would need to factor, and then we can set it equal to 0 and solve for x.